tape to. Well, we got another news report here. The very special meeting that I attended was a tea party and had a chance to videotape parts of it, and I have some clips for you guys to watch. One of them is of a company out of Spain, and why they're sending these to Spain I have no idea, except for they have something up their sleeve. Electronic voting. When it comes time to vote for a new president, guess what? All electronic voting will be going to Spain, and a company up there will be doing the tallying up. The same company is owned by a gentleman that owns a company in Brazil that our government, our president, is also friends with, and I kind of find that fishy, and you'll be able to hear that here on the video that I have of the clip I have for you. And another one is, why is the government growing so fast in certain areas? What is their agenda for all these new positions, and then all the different charges or taxes, more taxes? Why are we so much in debt? I mean, we're talking trillions. We are talking, this particular president that we have right now has taken us further in debt than the last 3 or 4 presidents that we've had put together. And a lot of people don't see it because they're throwing out all these glamorous things that we focus on, but we don't focus on what's going on behind the closed doors.
And I just have one last sentence to say, and that is, last year Chris Kobach came to speak to the rally, the Tea Party rally. One of the things that he said was, do not, under any circumstance, vote electronically. Those votes can and have been manipulated and compromised. I will just say one more sentence, and that is, this came across my computer in several ways, but the Obama administration has contracted with a company to count those votes.
Where are they?
That company happens to be in Spain. All of those electronic votes will go to Spain. They will not be counted at the precinct level. They will go to Spain. The man who owns that company is George Soros. Do not vote electronically.
And would you comment, let me ask you one question. Do you know about how many states currently are investigating Democrats for voter fraud?
No, I don't.
I think the answer is about 6. So, voter fraud appears to be policy in this administration.
If you have, Jenny, how do you not vote electronically or by paper ballot? Depends on the precinct you're in. I don't have a choice.
Well, I know. Well, actually, you do, according to Chris Kobach. When you go into your precinct, they are going to encourage you to vote electronically. They encourage me to vote electronically. All you have to do is say, I want a paper ballot. That's it.
Oh, the Obama grows the government at a record-shattering pace and has nothing to show for it. That's another thing that we can look into. He has taken us from billions of dollars in debt. We are now trillions of dollars in debt. You know, none of this would have never made it this far if, including myself, would have done research on all this stuff and not just believe what the media has been telling us all this time. And America after Obama, Barack Obama has gone from the one we've been waiting for to the one we can't wait to kick out. And why can't we kick him out? What is the problem with impeaching him for changing laws without going through the steps that he's supposed to be going through? He's not given the people to vote. The government is for the people, not people for the government. Okay? The government works for the people. The people don't work for the government. And there's a huge change in what's going on here. And if we don't act on this now, you know, a few years down the road, it's going to be too late. You know, now's the time to act on this. Okay? So that's all I have for now. We got a couple videos here to watch. Let's watch this. And I'm really serious. Okay? Something's got to be done here. We got to take control of the government, because if they control us, it's not going to be any different than a lot of these other communist countries. And if you look at these other countries and do your research on the other countries, you will see that none of them has made it. They all have failed. So what's going to happen to America if we do the same? They think it's going to be any different? I don't think so. It is not going to be any different. It's going to be just the same, if not worse. We have prospered so much that we have gotten lazy. And if we don't look at this now, it's going to get a whole lot worse. Do your research. Thank you.
Those are awfully important points. Let me point out something that you can do between now and our election. Start to look at the French election. The French Socialist Party candidate has an agenda almost exactly what Obama's is. I said Socialist Party. And so if you want to, and their elections, I believe, are in June. You can watch the French rhetoric and discussion, but you will notice that the contemporary media in this country is downplaying the similarities, and you very rarely hear about it. So think French for a couple of months. You'll be because it may have a great deal of bearing on things that I read on the internet, which talks about how federal employees work so that they continue the efforts of whatever department that they're in, so they'll save their job. And we know that there's just literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands. I understand that the Department of Justice alone, since the Obama administration took office, 120,000 attorneys have been added to the Department of Justice. And the problem with that is, and I'm not a fan of lawyers, so if there's any lawyers in here, I'm sorry, but I wish you'd find honorable work. The reality is that because there seems to be this open-ended purse here in this country, that make-work things will continue to be make-work. And we just have so much of a problem with what's the old thing that there has never been a budget decrease in this country. It goes up every single
Palestinian Authority.
Oh yeah, I did.
And they support terrorists, Hamas.
And one of the things, somebody mentioned the new voting. Jenny mentioned the new voting system. It's owned by George Soros. And Obama goes down to Brazil, and he gave the Brazilians what, $7 or $8 billion for $4 billion for ocean recovery of fossil fuels. Okay, deepwater drilling, good. And guess who one of the biggest investors in Brazil is? George Soros. So this is the kind of stuff where, and I had a piece in the paper a couple of weeks ago, and fortunately, I don't know why, but the news publishes everything I write. I don't know why. I wrote a piece about the truth. We haven't talked about truth here tonight. And I think that's the biggest single thing we've lost. If we knew the truth, people, I think, would behave and understand differently. But we aren't, most people who listen to the news believe what they hear. I don't believe anything I hear unless I've researched it. And my wife says I spend too much time researching. We didn't mention voter fraud. There's an organization down in Houston, Texas called True the Vote. I want to try to get, Connie, I want to try to get her to come up here and speak to us. Her name is Catherine Engelbrecht. She's a wonderful speaker, and with all of the stuff that's going on with voter fraud right now, I think it would be a marvelous thing to have. The Defense of Marriage Act, we didn't talk about that. And I'm going to close tonight by talking about something called the Big Lie. On your suggested reading list is a book called How to Kill 11 Million People. Now, that sounds like a very angry, really would rather not talk about it kind of activity, because it frames the Holocaust. And there were, we had, 6 million Jews, and there were about another 5 or 6 million Armenians, gays, lesbians. All these people were murdered by the Nazi regime. And one of the things that it wasn't in the DOMA Act, it was in the National Defense Appropriation. And we had a meeting on that 2 periods ago. And we came in and talked about the NDAA, that's the Defense Authorization Act. In there was a paragraph which gives Obama the right to declare martial law and to inter any of us for any length of time.